Hello everyone, this is Jonathan Little for PokerNews.com, and today we're going to continue going over hands from the $5,000 buy-in World Series Poker final table I made. Here the blinds have gone up to 20,000, 40,000. I have 320,000 chips. A player named JT, who is a middle-aged guy who I did not know, but I thought he played reasonably well. He raised under the gun to 85,000, so a hair more than a min raise. And with 8-6 suited and the big blind, I think calling is pretty much the only possible play. So I'm going to see a flop. I'm not folding very often when facing a min raise. So we'll put in the 40,000 or 45,000 more. Whenever you have to put in 45 to win a total pot of 235, it's perfectly fine to call with a pretty wide range of hands that are going to flop reasonably well. So flop comes Jack 7-4. I have a gut shot. And I checked, and he checked behind. I don't think there's much merit in leading in my spot. The only time I want to be leading is if I think my opponent's just very weak and very straightforward. And I have no reason to believe that JT, a tight aggressive guy who made the final table of a $5,000 buy-in event that had, 400 people or something like that, you have no real reason to think this guy is overly weak. So I'm going to check. And on this flop, I think I'd probably check call versus a small bet and check fold versus a bigger bet. Even though we have a gut shot, we have no other backdoor draws. If there was a heart on the flop, I would definitely stick around versus most reasonable bets. Maybe I would even raise because then I have many more good barreling cards on the turn. But with no backdoor draws, I think we need to be much more cautious. But check's good. We get to see the turn for free. When he checks behind on the flop, I think it's going to be a lot of marginal made hands. So I'm not really thinking that I can run any sort of insane bluffs here. I mean, maybe we could bet the turn and then bet huge on the river, but he has 50 big blinds remain, or 45 big blinds, 48 big blinds, something like that remaining in his stack. And the pot is only 6 big blinds. So it's not like we can force him to be all in by the river. So we're just going to play a small pot here and likely lose a small pot. So turn is a 6 of diamonds. And I decided to bet 80,000 and JT called. So I like my turn bet mainly because if he has a marginal showdown value hand, that's often going to be something like ace high or a small to medium pair. And I beat a lot of that range. Of course, I lose to jack 10, pocket 10s, pocket 9s, pocket 8s, ace 7, ace 6. I do lose to some of those hands, but I think we want to bet small with the idea that if we get called, we still probably have the best hand, and then we will get to see the showdown. Notice I don't really want to check the turn and then have JT bomb it. Like say I check and he bets 200K, well now I'm in a pretty nasty spot where I have to call, but I sure don't love it. Whereas if I bet 80K and he raises, I think I can very easily fold. And if I bet 80K and he calls, we probably have the best hand. So I like my turn bet. I think it's fine. Checking is also okay, especially if you think that JT is going to play somewhat face up on the turn. But even then, most of the time you're just letting him draw to whatever outs he has for free. When he does call my turn bet, I think he's going to have a lot of ace highs, a lot of various draws, but really remember he opened under the gun, right? So he should probably only have ace 5 for a draw. He could also have 9-8, I suppose. So most of the time he's gonna have some sort of a marginal value hand or ace high when he calls my turn bet, I believe. River is a 5, putting a straight on the board. So, well, the program ran right through it. And it shows you his hand for fun. Well, on the river, I bet 145K, I believe, with my straight. And he made it 345K. I apologize for the technical difficulties. So I like the bet with the straight here for 145. That was not a huge bet. He could easily hero call me with a hand like pocket 9s if he has that. And if he does have a hand like ace king, he's probably not going to bluff on this river if I check. So I think the right play is definitely to bet for value. To my surprise, he raised. So I bet 145. He made it something like 345. I don't remember the exact sizing, but it was something like that. Now I have to call 2 million to try to win 200,000 to try to win a 1.1 million chip pot. So we're getting great pot odds. The problem is that I'm actually going to chop a lot of the time. And sometimes I just lose when he has 9-8, which does make some sense, or a flush, which, there aren't too many flushes he could have, but there are some, like queen 10 of diamonds like he had. Looking back at this spot, I don't know if he's ever bluffing. I would actually venture to say he's probably never bluffing, but at the same time, you have to realize that a lot of the middle-aged, tight, aggressive people who make it deep in these tournaments are capable of running pretty sick bluffs from time to time when they think they can get away with it. And I would certainly not put it past JT to run one of these very sick bluffs. So I don't hate my call here. I think it's probably fine. I imagine it's going to roughly break even. But the problem is if he's only raising an 8 or better, I'm either chopping or I'm losing. So now I just have to figure out, am I getting the correct proportion of the pot out because we're chopping a lot? And if he's only raising for value and never bluffing, I think I just need to fold. So pretty nasty spot. I could have certainly checked the river. If I check the river, I have to check call only. And then we miss value from sporadic bluffs. And we also miss value from marginal made hands. Notice if I bet, he's going to call marginal made hands. If I check, maybe he bluffs. So there are benefits to both plays. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I don't really love this spot. It's actually kind of hard to analyze because it's hard to know exactly how many bluffs he would have in his range. Because it could be a lot or it could be none. And if it's a lot, obviously my call is great. And if it's none, then my call is horrible. One thing worth mentioning is that we see here that he has a flush, right? So that doesn't actually tell us if our call was good or bad. You only learn if your call is good or bad when you run the same situation a bunch of times and you see that he has a flush every time. Or when you are shown the bottom of his range. Like if he showed up here with ace-king offsuit, well then yeah, my call was great. Because that means he's probably bluffing with ace-king, with ace-queen, with ace-10, stuff like this. And if that's the case, we just have the easiest call in the world. But seeing the flush does not let me know if my call was good or bad. But I don't know. It's probably either marginally good or marginally bad. Very rarely is it going to be a fantastic play one way or the other. So this is a tough spot. And when you river straight and you run into the backdoor flush, you're going to lose some money. And we did lose some money. But maybe I did not have to lose as much as I did. Thank you very much for watching this video here on Poker News. I hope you all have the best of luck in your games. Be sure to check back next week. We will be reviewing another hand from this $5,000 buy-in World Series of Poker final table. This has been Jonathan Little. Thanks for watching.